At 14:30 hours, Ukrainian operators launched what should have been a routine strike mission. Within minutes, everything would explode. Literally. Their Shark D reconnaissance drone was circling above a damaged bridge. Perfect. Choke point. Russian convoy below. 152. Howitzer in tow. Easy target, right. Except the drone wasn't hunting anymore. It was being hunted. See, every time that drone transmitted video back to its operators, it was basically screaming, "Here I am," to the electromagnetic spectrum. And the Russians, they had something listening. The convoy was moving at 15 kilometers per hour toward that bridge. The Ukrainian strike team was 4 kilometers away, but between them and that target, 3 layers of Russian defenses that had already stopped over 30 Ukrainian drones. The system you see here, the ZUP Park 1 counterbatter radar, wasn't originally built to hunt drones. It was originally designed to track artillery shells in flight, figure out where they came from, and rain steel on those coordinates. But the Russians got clever. They realized drone control signals are just radio waves. And radio waves, those can be tracked. Here's how it works. The zoo park detects your signal and takes a bearing. Basically, draws a line from the radar where you're transmitting from. One line doesn't tell them much, but get multiple bearings from different positions. Those lines cross at exactly one point, your position. 3 minutes later, artillery rounds are landing on your head. The Ukrainian operators knew the statistics were brutal. Transmit from the same spot for more than 5 minutes, and there's a 40% chance you're not transmitting again, ever. The Russians even had a name for it, counter-reconnaissance by fire. No visual confirmation needed. Just detect, calculate, and devastate. So, these operators had gotten smart. Really smart. They're frequency hopping across 128 channels every single second. Never staying on one frequency long enough for the zoo park to lock on. They're transmitting in bursts, 0.3 seconds of data, then silence for 30 seconds, just enough to maintain control. Not long enough for the zoo park radar to find them. But then things got worse. Thermal sensors picked up a Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone approaching from the north. This meant the Russians suspected operators were nearby and launched their own hunter. That Orlan's thermal camera could spot human body heat from 2 kilometers away. The Ukrainian team had to make a choice. Keep eyes on the target or hide under thermal blankets and go blind. They chose to hide. But before they did, they needed to alert the strike team 4 kilometers away. Standard procedure would be direct radio handoff, transmit coordinates, vectors, timing, but that would mean both teams transmitting at once, double the electromagnetic signature. Might as well paint the target on both positions. Instead, they did something ingenious. The Shark dropped what they call a digital breadcrumb, one tiny encrypted packet on 433 MHz, a frequency the Russians weren't monitoring for drone control. GPS coordinates, convoy speed, wind conditions, optimal attack vector. Everything the strike team needed. Total transmission time 0.3 seconds. Too brief to triangulate, too encrypted to decode. On the wrong frequency to even notice. The strike team got the packet. The convoy was halfway to the bridge, moving at walking speed through twisted metal and broken concrete. They had maybe 10 minutes before it cleared the choke point, but between them and that target were 3 layers of Russian defenses. And the first layer had stopped over 30 Ukrainian drones already. The FPV operator powered up his drone at 1445. 7 inches carbon fiber frame, 2 kilograms shaped. Charge. Battery showing 16.8 volt. Enough juice for 7 minutes of flight. The target was only 4 minutes away. Should be easy, right? Wrong. See, the Russians had learned something important about drone warfare. You don't need to shoot them down. You just need to cut the connection between pilot and drone. No connection, no control. No control. Drone crashes or flies home. Mission failed. The first 2 kilometers were Smooth. The Ukrainian drone was skimming along at 3 meters altitude, using every tree, line and demolished building for cover. The video feed coming through crystal clear, 1080p at 60 frames per second. Then at exactly 2 kilometers from target, the image started breaking up, static lines across the screen, frame rate dropping, 60 frames to 30 to 15. The Russian Repellent 1 mobile jammer had just woken up. The jammer is basically a microwave oven with the door open, except instead of heating your leftovers, it's cooking every drone frequency within 500 meters. 400 W of pure electromagnetic chaos across the electromagnetic spectrum. The signal at 2 kilometers was still 25 watts per square meter. The drone's transmitter 25 mW. That's like trying to whisper in a hurricane. The operator's switch frequencies dropped down to 433 MHz, outside the normal jamming bands. Some signal came back, grainy, delayed, but functional. Video quality now looked like a flip phone from 2005, 10 frames per second, but it was something. At 1.5 km, even that backup frequency started dying. The Russians weren't using just one jammer. They had layers. The Prez on the vehicle, portable jammers in trenches every 200 meters, and somewhere behind their lines, probably a Pole 21 area denial system. 3 different systems, overlapping coverage, different frequencies. It was an electronic black hole. But unlike a black hole, the Ukrainians had a way out. The drone had an AI module trained on 10,000 hours of combat footage. It would recognize vehicles, lock onto them, and guide itself to impact. But, and this is a big but, it needed to see the target clearly for at least 2 seconds to lock on, and the lock range only 400 meters. The drone had to fly another OOM through that electronic storm blind just to get a chance at acquiring the target. The operator did the math. Last known position plus convoy speed times elapse time equals the truck should be right at the bridge center. He switched to dead reckoning. No video, just instrument data. Compass bearing 073 degree. Altitude 3 meters. Speed 45 kilometers per hour. Slower to save battery while flying blind. Then at 3.2 kilometers, something miraculous happened. For exactly 1 frame, 1/160th of a second, the video flickered back. The bridge may be 800 meters away. The truck, exactly where math said it should be, grinding over a twisted beam. Then, static returned, but that 1 frame was enough. The operator knew he was on track. Another 400 meters of blind flight and the AI could take over if the drone made it that far. At 3 kilometers, the video suddenly came back crystal clear for a few seconds at a time. The jamming had a gap. Maybe the Repellent 1 was rotating its antenna array. Maybe interference from the bridge's metal structure. Didn't matter. What mattered was that the operators saw in those 2 seconds a Russian interceptor drone 20 meters up already in a dive. The Russian interceptor was already in a dive when the Ukrainian operator spotted it, 20 m altitude, coming down at 45 degrees like a falcon after a pigeon. Basic physics said this was going to hurt. Both drones were basically identical. 7 inches frames. 4 motors, top speed around 140 kilometers per hour. But physics gave the interceptor every advantage. Height equals energy. Energy equals options. And the Russian pilot had all the options. Here's the problem with drone combat. It happens fast, like ridiculously fast. Combined closing speed of 280 kilometers per hour. That's 78 meters every second at 300 meters separation. Impact in less than 4 seconds. The Ukrainian operator had that long to figure something out or lose everything. The Russian interceptor had another advantage. No warhead. The Ukrainian drone was hauling 2 kilograms of shaped charge. In a dogfight, that's like boxing with a backpack full of rocks. Every maneuver costs more energy, takes longer to execute, saps more battery. The Ukrainian FPV broke hard left with a Maximum bank angle. The frame groaned. Under 5 gs of force. Motors screaming at different speeds. Left side at 40%. Right side at maximum. The turn radius at 140 km per hour was about 89 meters. The Russian interceptor overshot, had to circle back for another pass. Now it became a question of energy management. Every aggressive maneuver cost battery life. Hard turns drained power at triple the normal rate. The Ukrainians' drone voltage was already dropping. 5.22, 14.8 in just 10 seconds of evasive action. At this rate, the battery would be toast before reaching the target. The Russian operator changed tactics. Instead of chasing, he climbed higher. More altitude meant more potential energy. He would dive again, using gravity to boost speed beyond the motor's maximum. The Ukrainian drone couldn't match that climb. Too heavy. Battery already stressed. So, the Ukrainian operator did something unexpected. He cut the throttle completely. The drone dropped like a stone, falling from 15 meters to 3 meters in 2 seconds. The Russian interceptor, committed to its dive, screamed through empty air where the target should have been. But cutting throttle has consequences. With no power to the props, the drone becomes a falling brick. The Ukrainian FPV was in free fall for those 2 seconds, losing all control authority. The operator had to power back carefully. Too much throttle. Too fast and the drone would flip from the sudden torque. Too little and it wouldn't arrest the fall in time. He applied 30% throttle, enough to stop the descent at 3 meters altitude. The drone wobbled violently as the flight controller fought to regain stability from the near stall conditions. The Russian interceptor pulled out of its dive, reducing speed in the climb. Now, both drones were in the same energy state. Low altitude, moderate speed. Batteries draining. It became a turning fight. 2 drones circling each other. Like boxers looking for an opening. Here's where the weight difference finally mattered. The Russian interceptor carrying no warhead had a better power-to-weight ratio. It could accelerate faster, climb quicker, stop shorter. In the circling fight, it would change direction more aggressively, pulling 6 gigaseconds versus the 4.5 gs before the flight controller hit its limits. Each reversal, the Russian drone gained a few degrees, gaining behind the Ukrainian drone into the blind spot where the camera couldn't see. The Ukrainian operator had one move left, something they trained for but rarely use: a vertical reversal. Full throttle straight up. The drone climbed at 10 meters per second, trading all forward speed for altitude. The Russian interceptor tried to follow but didn't expect the next part. At the top of the climb, the Ukrainian drone was nearly stationary, hanging in the air for just a moment. The operator cut throttle again and applied full yaw. The drone spun 180 degrees in less than a second, nose now pointing straight down at the climbing Russian interceptor. They were going to collide head on. The Russian operator committed to the impact. This was his mission. But at the last second, the Ukrainian operator rolled hard right while maintaining the dive. The Russian interceptor, committed to its collision course, didn't adjust fast enough. It passed through empty air just meters from where the Ukrainian drone had been. By the time the Russian operator could reverse his climb and reacquire, the Ukrainian drone was already leveling out at 5 meters altitude, racing toward the bridge. The whole engagement took 18 seconds. The Ukrainian drone had used 30% of its battery, just staying alive. Voltage is at 14.5 volts. Only 8% capacity remaining. The truck was 3/4 across the bridge now, and clearing to attack altitude. The operator could see 3 Russian soldiers already in position, weapons raised. They'd heard the dog fight. They knew exactly what was coming next. At 14:49, the Ukrainian FPV cleared the area and faced the oldest defense in warfare: humans with guns who knew exactly where to look. The rifleman reacted first. His AK-74 would spit out 650 rounds per minute. At 50 meters range, those bullets would arrive in 0.05 seconds, basically instant. He fired in short bursts, leading the drone like a duck hunter leads his target. One round connected. The 5.45mm bullet punched through the carbon fiber frame and severed power leads to the rear left motor. Instantly, the drone lurched sideways. The flight controller, basically a tiny computer making 8,000 decisions per second, tried to compensate. 3 motors instead of 4 meant 25% less thrust. The drone started drifting left no matter what the operator did. At 35 meters, the first shot gunner was ready. Siaga 12 loaded with buckshot. 65 lead pellets that would spread into a 15 meters wide cloud by the time they reached 30 meters. The drone was moving at 140 kilometers per hour. It would cross that cloud in less than half a second. The shotgun boomed. Probability took over. Most pellets missed, but 2 didn't. One destroyed the right front motor completely. Another punched the battery casing. Voltage immediately started dropping. 14.5 to 13.8 to 13.2 in 2 seconds. Now the drone was on its last leg. 2 motors left out of 4. Speed down to 80 kilometers per hour. Altitude dropping. The AI trying to maintain target lock on the red outline on the truck, flickering as the algorithm struggled with distorted input. 20 m out. The second shotgunner fired, but physics saved the drone. With 2 motors out, it had dropped 2 meters altitude. Unexpectedly, the buckshot pattern passed overhead. The soldier pumped another round, but the drone would pass him in half a second. 15 meters. The third soldier, positioned to protect the truck cab, discovered his weapon couldn't depress enough. The drone was flying at 1.5 meters altitude, below his minimum angle. He stepped back, trying to create space, but stumbled on bridge debris. 10 m. The eye made its final calculation. The operator wanted the cab, take out the ammunition, and blow this whole thing to smithereens. The algorithm adjusted. Battery voltage now 12.8 volts below minimum threshold. Thrust at 40% and falling 5 meters. The magnetic proximity sensor armed itself. Impact at 14:49 hours and 47 seconds. The drone hit at just 62 kilometers per hour. Much slower than optimal, but enough. The copper jet punched straight through the ammunition storage. 8 152mm artillery shells cooked off simultaneously. The explosion lifted the truck 2 meters up. The bridge deck, already damaged, cracked under the overpressure. The truck tipped sideways, slid off the broken section. Truck, artillery piece, everything tumbled into the river below. The Shark D reconnaissance drone, still circling at altitude, recorded everything in high definition. Russian soldiers staring at their destroyed crossing. Smoke climbing 200 meters into the sky. The nearest alternate bridge was 15 km away. This is the new reality of warfare. Every moment is watched and somewhere there's always an operator with a 7 inches drone waiting for their moment. Bye for now. Generated with https://kome.ai